Good day, fellow Planeteers. Welcome back to Passport Planet, a channel where I interview distinguished people and ask stupid questions. In today's video, we have Jack Huang as our special guest. Born in Taiwan, Jack started his career as a research assistant at the Taiwan Institute of Economic Research, one of the nation's biggest think tanks. He then went on to become a consultant and project manager at the United Nations. Recently, Jack founded his own company, Alicon, a startup that focuses on clean energy and sustainability. Jack graduated from SOAS London and the National Cheng Chi University. He speaks English, Mandarin, and Thai. I'm very honored to have Jack here today to share his wisdom. Hello, Jack. How are you doing?
Hi, hello. Hello, everyone. Thanks for your introduction. Pretty awesome.
Is there anything that I missed in my introduction? Is there anything you want to add?
I think it's pretty well. I mean, maybe I just add one or two more things. Like now, I'm not just the founder of the Alicon, but also I'm the founder of another startup called Recarbon, RECARBON. It's kind of the carbon trading platform. And we try to put as a social entrepreneur. Yeah, help people, a business partner to trade their carbon.
Wow, sounds pretty awesome. And I understand you're in Taiwan, so the project's going to be focusing on Taiwan, or is it more of an international market?
Yeah, because now the COVID-19, so we are not really able to travel around. But so far, we base in Taiwan, but of course, we target the global market.
Right, of course. Cool. And how's life in Taiwan right now? Because I think you guys still have very strict entry requirements, right? So it's very hard for a non-Taiwanese to go to Taiwan at the moment.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we really have very hard, strict. But, inside Taiwan, I mean, we are just like a normal life. I mean, probably thanks to our government, we don't really have the complaint case for a long time. And now the life is just very normal. You can still go to nightclubbing, go to restaurant. You don't really need to, task yourself every day. So yeah, in Taiwan, we are pretty lucky, I will say.
All right, good to hear that. And I understand that you also worked extensively in Southeast Asia, right? So can you tell me a little bit about your experience working and living in Southeast Asia? Like, for example, how many countries have you been to in the region, and what kind of projects have you been working on?
I see. Yeah, I mean, in that way, I have to talk about my experience in the United Nations. Since like I was based in Bangkok, that's my regional office in Bangkok. And Bangkok is also the headquarters of the Asia Pacific, I mean, under the UN system. So mostly I stay in Thailand, and that's also my working station. But for travel, of course, I travel a lot to Singapore, to Malaysia, to Bangladesh, to Cambodia. So yeah, in general, I would say Southeast Asia is a pretty relaxing region. Like, I mean, compared with Taiwan, compared with Japan or Hong Kong, it's super relaxing. And in the United Nations, we have 8 hours per day for that working hour. And after that, that's totally your personal life. And in Bangkok, I will say, because I also stay in Geneva and in New York for a very short period. But in Bangkok, that's for long, for the almost 5 or 6 years. So I really like there. Think for example, food is cheap, and although traffic is bad, but you can still find an alternative way to travel from point A to point B. And food is cheap, and entertainment and nightclub and whatever, you meet people are friendly. You can very easy to make friends with either local people or the international friends. So yeah, I would say Southeast Asia is cool. People try to slow down their life. They don't really want to put too much pressure on themselves. So yeah, pretty like that.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And I can testify because we knew each other from Bangkok. So yeah, from my experience, I'll say Bangkok is definitely one of the best cities in the region, because it's got this very chill environment, but at the same time, it's very international.
Super international. Since I travel and work and even study in so many cities in the past, like in London, in Hong Kong, in Tokyo, in Taipei, of course. And in Bangkok, I think it's not, if it's not top one, it's almost top three, the international city around the world, even more than Hong Kong and Tokyo. I mean, I always want to, play a game. For example, I just pick up the coffee shop at the corner on the big street, and I try to count how many foreigners, I can really identify. For example, for every 10 people, how many foreigners out of that 10 people? And in Bangkok, I mean, that number is supposed to be 6 or 7. But in Tokyo, maybe just 2 or 3. But Hong Kong, maybe 3 or 4. So that's my way to identify how international a city is. So I would say Bangkok is pretty international. It's so interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you mentioned that you traveled a lot in the region and around the world as well. So do you think, we praise Bangkok, but at the same time, I think Bangkok is a little bit oversaturated as a destination for business and for leisure, right? So if I asked you to pick a sort of like the next up and coming city in Southeast Asia, which one would you say it is?
I would say Phnom Penh in Cambodia, especially, yeah. I mean, a lot of people say, although there are a lot of Chinese people there, but I think that's depending on different people. So a lot of people say Phnom Penh is kind of the Shenzhen 40 years ago. So if you take Shenzhen as example, compare 40 years ago in Shenzhen, so Phnom Penh now is, so booming, the economic growth or the construction, the shopping mall, or the people, even the middle class become more and more. So if I have to pick one city beside Bangkok, I would say Phnom Penh. They have the great opportunities there.
Right. Very, very interesting. I mean, I've been to Cambodia, but not the capital city. So I think I'll have to find out maybe if we get lucky with the traveling later this year. But but anyway.
I don't think it's possible.
I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, so in terms of Southeast Asia, I think you're a big advocate for doing business in Southeast Asia. Is that correct? I think you advocate, especially young people, to go there and to develop their career.
Yeah, especially I try to advocate Taiwanese people, especially young generation. I mean, since in Taiwan, our economy is okay, but it's slowed down, and most of the opportunities they are controlled by the people. I mean, 30s or 40s or 50s. So Southeast Asia is kind of a good place for people to develop their career, especially if they want to fund their own business, they want to have the startups. Southeast Asia is good, especially the market is big. They have like 600 million population in total in the Southeast Asia, and they're different country. So for one opportunity for example, like in Vietnam, if it's not work there, you can simply change to Thailand. If it's not work either, you can change to Myanmar or change to Malaysia. So you have so many, different choices in Southeast Asia. And especially the middle class. I will emphasize that again. In Taiwan, we're like Taiwan, like Japan or Hong Kong. We are kind of developed country, developed region. So people already have their kind of the traditional mindset or whatever they think what they should do or what their life should be. But in Southeast Asia, most of them, they are still almost become the middle class. So I say almost, they still maybe 5 or 10 years later. And they don't really have this very, I would say, traditional mindset for what life should be. So whatever, if you provide the service or product, if it's useful, if it's, for example, cheap enough, or if it's very interesting or fancy or amazing, and they tend to accept that very quickly. So I would say Southeast Asia is a good place for business. Either you provide service or you provide product, or you just do the international trading, import something from Taiwan to Thailand, or import something from Japan to Myanmar to Cambodia. And that's why I always encourage people to try to come to Southeast Asia, experience a little bit, then see what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think my experience with Southeast Asia is that the people, I mean, obviously they have their own culture, but at the same time, they're very open-minded, right?
Exactly.
They're more open-minded than I'll say the Chinese market. So in terms of accepting new things and new ideas, they are open to new things a little bit more than the Chinese people. Which brings us to the next topic, which is the whole supply chain migration. Yeah, as you will know by now that the whole supply chain, which the status quo is that the China-U.S. supply chain, and it's kind of migrating towards Southeast Asia, and even moving a little bit towards Taiwan. I think the semiconductor business is definitely booming in Taiwan. So would you say Southeast Asia also has a great opportunity to sort of inherit China's manufacturing capacity and business opportunities in the future, maybe in the next 10, 20 years?
I will say that is possible, but some mainstream media, they try to say Southeast Asia will become the next world factory. Somehow I don't really agree with that, because China is the world factory in the past maybe a decade or 2 decades. So that has its own advance and reasons. China is big. China, the population is very, very huge. And also they try to provide the education and have the engineer, like 2 million, 3 million engineers every year. That's kind of the advance in China, but not really in Southeast Asia. In overall, of course, Southeast Asia can try to absorb some opportunities from this kind of the global supply chain shift from China, from United States, or from whatever the big country to here, to the region. However, I will say now they are still kind of labor intensive. If you want to really develop the solid and strong supply chain, you need to try to think about what kind of like technology intensive supposed to be. So in Southeast Asia, of course, the middle class is more and more, and of course the education, people get higher and higher. But in overall, I will say they are still focusing in labor intensive, and they still try to make the cost benefit for the supplier. So yeah, they can definitely observe some opportunity. But in the short term, like 3 years or 5 years, I doubt that it's going to become the world factory.
Right. And speaking of which, when you were working for the United Nations in Bangkok, how did you get into the UN when the UN doesn't even recognize Taiwan passport? What kind of document did you have to show to even get into the building?
That's an interesting thing, but I don't mind, because whenever I introduce myself, hey, I work for the United Nations, 9 out of 10 people, they always ask me this question. So I'm quite familiar with that, no problem. Regarding my nationality and regarding my identity, yes, I was born in Taiwan. I'm a Taiwanese. I only hold the Taiwanese passport. I don't really have the, different nationalities. So as we all know, United Nations, they confirmed the One China policy since 1975, 1976. So yeah, under the UN system, we only have one China. That's the rule. So we don't really have to say anything about that. Yep. So as a Taiwanese passport holder, we are kind of China. We are part of China. But on the other side, I don't really feel very, very bad, because on our passport, if you look at the Taiwanese passport, we still call ourselves Republic of China. That's different from China, mainland China, because mainland China is People Republic of China, PRC, but we are ROC, Republic of China. So if you simply call me Chinese, or you call me, hey, you're from China, technically it's not wrong. So yeah, how I get that how I get in the UN, that's the answer. I use the nationality under the China, and Taiwanese passport should be recognized. Under the UN system, should be recognized as a Chinese passport.
Right,
so
I see.
That's very easy.
Okay, that's very interesting. And have you, like, throughout your career at the UN, have you ever run into people who's I guess more curious than me about your nationality and the whole Taiwan-China issue. Have you, like, for example, there must be some Chinese colleagues in the UN as well, right? So what's their opinion about you and about this whole issue?
I would say if you met someone in the United Nations, especially international organization, most of them, they do have this knowledge. They know the history, they know the background, and somehow they also know the sensitivities between, Taiwan and China. So even the Chinese colleagues, I will still say they are pretty friendly. They know and they have their own opinion, but they know if they really have the different opinion from you, from me, they shouldn't cross that line. They never cross that line. So yeah, most of them, they're curious about my nationality, why I get into UN, and what kind of nations I use. So yeah, not just Chinese colleagues, but also all my colleagues in my team, in my office, from Vietnam, from Canada, or from Australia, or from Russia. But they know that, and somehow they make joke on me. So you remember a few months ago, the Economics, the very famous magazine in the United States, the Economics, they have the cover story say Taiwan is the most dangerous place on earth.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Yeah, remember that one, right? So all my colleagues in the UN, they try to send a copy, send a screenshot to me, say, "Hey, Jack, do you want to apply for the refugee?" No need. So far, no need. We are used to that. Every year, every time, we got this information, even not from the Economics, not from Times Magazine, but from our local media all the time. So we are getting used to it.
Since we're on the topic of perspectives as Taiwanese, and you have just mentioned that on the Taiwan passport it says Republic of China. Although the new version, they shrunk the wording, right? They shrunk the Republic of China and they enlarged Taiwan. So do you find that how do you find that new passport? And also I would like to know a little bit more about the traveling experience using a Taiwanese passport.
I see. Regarding the traveling experience, I mean, Taiwanese passport is pretty useful. It's not in top 10, but at least it's top 20 or top 25. I mean, we have 100 and maybe 45, 147. We don't need visa to those countries. And for the others, Taiwanese passport is recognizable. So if you travel to any kind of country, any kind of region, that's pretty easy to get pass. So yeah, with the Taiwanese passport, I'm really appreciative of that. And you can find another information, for example, in the black market, they have the passport in the black market, and Taiwanese passport is pretty expensive. So which means pretty useful. That's the way I will try to prove how useful it is. And regarding the new version of the Taiwanese passport, yeah, we kind of changed the wording. We still have the Republic of China because that's the official country name in our constitution. So we are not really able, any kind of Taiwanese government, they are not able to remove that. But we try to make Taiwan much bigger, try to make TAIWAN, Taiwan, much bigger. That's because the political kind of opinion in I would say Minjingdang, the party now control the government. They try to emphasize, they try to promote Taiwan, this brand, to the world. So from my own opinion, I don't really care about that, to be honest, because this sounds a little bit naive, but I think we are all global citizens. So yes, I hold Taiwanese passport. That's just because I was born in Taiwan, and maybe you hold Canadian passport because you were born in Canada. But we all belong to this world. So as I used to work for the United Nations, I got this kind of brainstorming, say you have to contribute to the whole world, not just contribute to your own nations. That's kind of not a good mindset. So in terms of that, either we call ourselves Republic of China or we call ourselves Taiwan. I think that's just a name. And the most important thing is your soft power, is how many effort you do to sustainability, for example, to climate change, to the world refugee, or to whatever else. So yeah, I would say I don't really think it's very critical for me, but I also understand that's a very, very important issue for some people in Taiwan or in somewhere else.
When you were working for the United Nations and when you need to travel, and I know you have been traveling on, representing the UN. Have you ever used this UN passport, the laissez-passer, and what's the experience using that document?
I will say that's not really as useful as people
Make it out to be.
Yeah, because UNLP, yeah, is the official United Nations passport. I mean, if you are, I would say, qualified, you can be issued that kind of documents. But to be honest, because Taiwanese passport is much more useful. So whenever I travel based on the business, I'm business trip, I still try to use Taiwanese passport. It's easier to get into the specific country. I mean, compared with the UNLP, somehow because it's an official passport, so sure, for sure, you don't need visa. You don't need visa to travel everywhere, but you need to provide the document in advance, like to prove you go there for work and your schedule, your agenda, where you are going to live and who you are going to meet, blah, 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 blah. So somehow even my supervisor, he's a Briton, and also another supervisor, from Belgium. So they still use their own national passport when we travel on business. So UNLP is cool. You can take that for a photo, but if you really go on a trip or go on travel, yeah, most people, we don't use that.
Yeah. But I think when you went to Central African Republic, you can't use your Taiwanese passport, right? Because
that's true. Yeah,
you need a
true.
visa. Do you have some funny stories to share about your business trips, for the UN?
Yeah, sure. For works, working is boring. So, so mostly the funny things or interesting things is out of work. It's not really happen when I was working. So yeah, work is fine. We go there for mission. We try to provide training. We provide the support to the local mission user or local missions. And beside work, because Central Africa, I have traveled not just Central Africa, but also to Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, and also Western Sahara, and et cetera, a lot of African countries. So in Central Africa, very interesting things is like, I found some Taiwanese businessmen there. And, Central Africa is so difficult to do the business. And their business is casino. So that's really surprised me. The Taiwanese people travel, go to Central Africa in their capital Bangui, and they have the casino there. So I shouldn't say that, but I don't think it's a real casino because you somehow need the cash flow. Those politicians, they need some agent to. I don't want to use money laundering. I don't use this word, so maybe you should. But I would say they have to manage their cash flow internally or externally. So casino is a good agent to do that. So yeah, that's run by a Taiwanese family there. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, very fascinating. So as far as I know, Taiwan is sort of at this moment in a very, I'll say, interesting point in history. The Taiwan-America relations is getting closer and closer, right? So, and I remember you were the first person out of everyone I knew who I don't know how should I describe it, supported Trump or predicted Trump will become president. And so you must have your unique ability to understand the U.S.-Taiwan relations. And tell me more about that.
Okay, I'm not the only one. Okay, to be honest, I'm not a fan of Trump. I just based on the information and the situation back to a few years ago, I thought Trump would become the president of the United States. And yeah, and then I was right. So regarding the Taiwanese and Taiwan and U.S. relations, I think if we are talking about the international relations, there's no friend. Like Prime Minister Churchill, he used to say, no friend, there's no army, there's just the common benefit. So in Taiwan, I mean, most of us, not most of us, but some of us, we understand. U.S. try to get closer to Taiwan is because they are having the trouble with China. So Taiwan is a pretty good point to cut into this, it's Asia and the Pacific region. So whenever U.S. United States has some problem or like trade war or the technology war or whatever, they try to get more friends internationally, Taiwan is always the point, like both sides try to get closer. So because if you take another news as an example, like we have TSMC, our semiconductor manufacturer, and US try to provide a lot of policy, a lot of benefit for us to establish our manufacturing factory in the United States. But meanwhile, the United States government also request we have to provide all information. There's no confidential information. I mean, we have to provide everything. So based on that, you can see they don't just try to provide us a benefit. They also try to get our know-how, get our knowledge, and maybe use for their own industry or their own benefit. So regarding that, I shouldn't say Taiwan and America. Yes, of course, we get closer and closer, but that's because of the benefit, because of the current situation, not really because of the truly friendship.
Since we're on the topic of international relations, I understand that Taiwan has been doing this new southbound policy and towards Southeast Asia, and circling back to Southeast Asia. Do you think it's been working?
The short answer is it's not working. I mean, because we call the new Southeast policy because we have the previous one, the Southeast policy. Back to our President Li Denghui. I mean, back to, I would say, 1980s or 1990s. And that period, we also have another policy called Southeast Asia policy, try to promote, try to bring the Taiwanese government, bring a lot of Taiwanese businessmen, businesswomen to Southeast Asia and have the factory, have the business there. But most of them, they are in traditional manufacturing industry. So that's pretty successful. I mean, the previous one, because right now you can see a lot of Taiwanese factory, a lot of Taiwanese companies in Southeast Asia. In Malaysia, Thailand, in Cambodia, even in Vietnam, a lot of time, like more than 1 million Taiwanese businessmen in Vietnam at the moment. So that's based on, I mean, thanks for the previous Southeast policy. But now the new Southeast policy, I mean, try to promote it by our current government is somehow not really working because previously the last one, government support, government back up those businessmen. But now it's kind of just propaganda, kind of just, just government have their policy, but not really have the real things back up the people who want to develop their career or their business in Southeast Asia. So even the banking system, previously, government can be the supporter. Government provide the underlying asset in Taiwan and make the Southeast Asian bank, they are willing to provide loan to businessmen from Taiwan. But this time, the new Southeast Asia policy, we don't really have the similar benefit like previous one. So most of people, if they try to come to Southeast Asia, they still need to find a way. Find a way themselves, not really supported by government. And because government try to, their KPI is how many news, how many issues has been reported by the media. So they organize a lot of event, a lot of this, conference, event, or workshop. But whenever you invite people to join your event, and after that, of course, you have the media, you have the report, but you don't really follow up after the event. So I would say that's why I say it's not working.
That's a very interesting take, and definitely different than what I've been reading from the media.
Because the media are controlled by the government.
Yes.
So we still have freedom. So, but somehow they can influence the media. The government has a super power or budget to do that.
Absolutely. Let's turn to the project that you're working on right now. Tell me more about your companies and your vision.
I see. Yeah. Regarding my vision, I also provide something like this. This is my vision. The SDG, Sustainable Development Goal, number 13, the climate action. So that honestly, that's what I think is very important. Of course, all SDG goals, they are important. The poverty, the education, the gender equality, or whatever, everything is important. But for me, I think climate action is somehow we really need the collective effort. Because maybe the poverty can be solved by the single nation, like Canada or like Australia, or maybe like Norway or Denmark. The poverty rate is pretty low, even they still have the poor people. So it's kind of the policy method. The government can try to solve within their own region. But climate action is kind of the issue that no single person, no single company or organization or even a country can really solve this problem. So I think I would like to do something for that. So that's the reason me and my partner, we found the company called Elicon, ELICONN, and also we found another one called Recarbon, as I introduced previously, RECARBON. Those two companies, they are working with each other. Elicon, we try to provide the green energy solution, like the business, or like if you are the restaurant, you are the small and medium-sized entrepreneur, you don't know how to really improve your energy consumption, or you don't really have this knowledge or know-how about the global trend of the climate change. So we provide this training, we provide the consulting service, and then we connect the supply chain green supply chain, and try to make that fit your business. That's what we do for Elicon. And for Recarbon, we try to do more further. Global trend is like we need to reduce the carbon dioxide emission. So compare with the policy, if you simply have the carbon tax or the carbon pricing, somehow it's work, but not really for long, because maybe if you change the leader of the government, the policy will be changed as well. So we would like to provide some solution based on the market, the free market, so which is trading. So whenever we have the carbon credit produced by some like solar panel, plant, or wind turbine, then we can I would say we can monetize, or we can try to securitize it as a financial product, and we sell to the people who cannot really implement the green energy, but they still want to reduce their carbon emission. So that's kind of platform, combine the provider and the buyer and the seller. So yeah, we think by doing that, we first bring the awareness of everyone. Hey, climate action is important, so try to do something. You have money, spend something, and you have time, try to make yourself understand this issue. And second, we hope this kind of will become the norm, will become not just nice to do, but must do it. So that's how we start our business, our startups, and we hope we can help the global climate action.
what's the situation of climate policy in Taiwan right now? Or because I'm not too familiar with that, and maybe just tell us more about the climate policy and the global governance structure and maybe carbon trading market even.
Yeah, I mean, internationally, we just had the COP26 in Glasgow in UK last year, November. So the global trend really, go quickly. But in Taiwan, unfortunately, we don't really follow this global trend. I mean, several complex reasons, and mostly it's because the government, they don't know how to take care of different interested groups. For example, if you want to have the carbon pricing policy or the carbon pricing regulation, carbon tax, some big companies, especially in the traditional industries, they complain. And because they are rich and because we are still the democratic society, so every 4 years we have the election. So governments still need to take care of their benefit, their interest. So in Taiwan, unfortunately, as I say, we are really, really slow compared with other countries nearby, like in Japan, in Singapore, in Korea. Now we don't have the clear climate regulation or climate action related regulation. Now we are just thinking about to have the carbon tax. So even we try to put the price per each tons of carbon dioxide, but the pricing is still very, very low. For example, now we try to have, I would say $100. It's just like $3 per tons for every carbon dioxide. So that's not enough, definitely not enough. Because if we just need to pay very, very little to the carbon emission, as a businessman, as a traditional business guy, I won't do anything to improve my assembling or my business model. So yeah, that's the current situation in Taiwan, but it's become more and more popular. This topic. So I hope in the near future, maybe this year or maybe next year, we are going to have something really serious and try to improve the overall of our industry.
All right, listeners. In a second, I'm going to ask Jack about his opinions on China and Taiwan. If you want to listen to that part of the conversation, please become a member on YouTube or a subscriber on Patreon. Yes. And last word to you, my friend. Where can the listeners find you and your work?
Find me? You mean physical find me? So welcome to Taiwan, but it's very, very difficult. You need to get at least 3 shots of the vaccination, and also you have to get a PCR testing.
Well, but meanwhile, where can they find you and maybe communicate with you, maybe on social media?
Yeah, sure. Welcome to search my Facebook. Oh my God. Only old people use Facebook right now. So yeah, I'm old, so whatever. So yeah, people can welcome to search my name, like Jack Huang, JACKHUANG, on Facebook, on Instagram. Yeah, I also use Instagram, so not that old. So, or even LinkedIn. Yeah, I also have my profile on LinkedIn. So still use the same name, Jack Huang. So yeah, welcome to drop me a message, or if you are interested in the United Nations, in the career, or in the Southeast Asia, international relation, or Taiwan and China, yeah, I'm willing to provide my opinion.
Great. And if for those who are interested in your business, do you have a website? Do you have a?
Yeah, we do have our people, but somehow right now we just have the Chinese version. So yeah, we are building the English one. So if you want to search our website, yeah, please search the elicom.com, ELICON.com. And for Recarbon, we are still building it because we found this a few weeks ago. So yeah, I will also share that kind of links and information on my Facebook page. So you can simply follow my Facebook, then yeah, you can keep update.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Jack Wang, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much.